Of the participants and host. They are not necessarily the viewpoint of WBVP and WNBA, its staff, management, and advertisers. Thank you for listening to WBVP and WNBA.
The following program is for mature and logical audiences only. Viewer
Play YMCA. Go ahead. Let's go. Nice and loud.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Thinking Logically. It's your host, Joseph Anthony Corsai. The date is June 30th, year of our Lord, 2025, and we have a big show for you today. Actually, I guess it's a big, beautiful show. The Senate is voting on the big, beautiful bill right now, I think, still. It's also the last episode of Pride Month, everyone. Clap for that. Nice. Bit through. Survived. As for today's show, got a lot of topics, a lot to get to. Not too much on Iran, I guess, today. That media narrative has gone about as quiet as the egg price narrative from the first few weeks of Trump's administration, or the tariff narrative. Remember that? What did we see since last episode and over the weekend? We had a terrorist attack in Idaho. We're gonna jump into that right away in a minute here. Also, more revelations from the Joe Biden auto pen scandal, coming from, of all sources, a pharmacist. And moving off politics, the Pirates, I have to say, they've been one of the hottest teams in baseball all of a sudden. While at the same time, if you're paying attention, the Steelers just became one of the oldest teams in the NFL. Ryan, perfect time for you to jump in and get your headphones working.
Yeah, I'm having a little bit of an issue. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, I'm going to start off with the Pirates. You know what? The Pirates, they outscored the Mets 30-4 this past weekend. The Mets come in first place with a 48-34 record, and the Pirates swept them by a total score of 30-4. So I don't know what's going on with these Pirates.
It was the pride flag that the Mets hung. What else? Do you know they went on they're like 3 wins out of their last, 15?
Yeah.
They've been terrible.
It's not been a great season for these guys, but again, it was just a very strange series to come out and sweep these Mets like they did again by a score of 30-4.
3 weeks ago, you would have said zero chance.
Zero chance.
No chance.
And then as far as the Steelers go, I got up today and I started seeing all this news going on. So we're bringing in guys. I don't know if trading away Minkah Fitzpatrick was
trade away the younger guy, bring in the older cornerback.
Yeah, you know what though? I know that they had their eyes on Justin Simmons and a few other guys, so I don't think that they're done moving yet. But right now, it's
interesting. They're going to sign next? JJ Watt.
Yeah, JJ. Who knows? I think they're going to get him signed. It's just a matter of time for what.
Let's talk about real quick before we get into the episode. What happened in Idaho? This is a local show too. The Beaver County Boom. We saw the Beaver County Boom this Saturday in Bridgewater. I was down there with the wife and the kid. I saw you were here in the station.
Yes.
Giving the sound, doing as the producer. Total blast. I have to say it was a giant success. The only problem is, and I can't believe I'm saying, there weren't enough food trucks. I think they had about 100 food trucks. It still wasn't enough. It was that packed. There was lines everywhere. Great success, and I'm totally bought into Bridgewater instead of the actual bridge. I think that was a much better location.
Oh, good. Yeah.
Beautiful.
I was going to ask how that was.
I loved it down there. It was, for how many people were down there, it was still kind of wide open. It felt like a little bit like you were in the south side of Pittsburgh.
Wow.
With all, Bridgewater is. Like
I seen video. It looked really cool. I wish I would have been able to be down there. It looked nice.
It was. So I'm looking forward to it next year. Maybe it could become a tradition in my family and in Beaver County for years to come. But let's get into what we saw on Sunday. I think it was yesterday. The International Association of Firefighters, they put out this message in retaliation to that terrorist attack we saw on Sunday. So while responding to a fire earlier today, IAFF members were ambushed in a heinous act of violence. 2 of our brothers were killed by a sniper, and a 3rd brother remains in surgery. Please keep them, their families, and law enforcement in your prayers. And the alleged sniper, the Idaho sniper, has been ID'd today as 20-year-old Wes Rowley. That's the local authorities identified him. 20-year-old Wes Rowley. Now let's call, obviously, this attack what it is, domestic terrorism. But let's get back to Wes Rowley. Wes Rowley, he didn't just start a fire. He lured Americans into a sort of a death trap. Again, that's domestic terrorism. That's stuff you see in war. audience, because we think logically on the show, it's the name of the show, ask yourself, who would do this and why? What 20-year-old kid, what would make this sick person that's a 20-year-old think to do this now? I mean, we seem to see something like this happen every few months in this country. Another 20-year-old with probably $10,000, $20,000 in weapons and ammo, again, shoots a former president or a bunch of people. This isn't the first time we saw this happen. This is how it works. Like Buffalo, Uvalde, what was the Butler? We could go on and on. Next, we're going to find out that the FBI had this kid on their radar for months and that they had some anonymous tips about him too. We should also find out, because I'm hearing that he has some mental illnesses that was reported. If this kid was recently talking to a psychologist, psychiatrist, or was on any SSRIs, mind-altering drugs, that should matter, right? But the timing. This is a very big week for the Trump administration. And then some 20-year-old kid decides to commit an act of domestic terrorism. It's just strange to me. And the parents, I kind of want them investigated too. And I know there's a picture of the parents in front of the White House wearing MAGA hats and everything, and they're supposed to be Trump supporters. I don't care. This kid was 20 years old. What 20-year-old thinks to do this and pulls it off with a sniper rifle? Again, this is stuff like they teach in combat. Now, I saw this quote from the Idaho sheriff while this was all going on. I think it was on Fox News. And he said this, quote, if anyone has a clear shot, he said something about the guy not wanting to surrender. And he said, if anyone has a clear shot at the shooter, take it. Whoever stops this threat will be seen as a hero. So the local sheriff gave the green light to any citizen with a gun capable to kill the shooter. And I just thought to myself, wow, that's really cool. That's Wild West stuff. I like that. Nice, cool look, nice sheriff. So of course I wanted to know more about this awesome sheriff. Who is this guy? Where'd he come from? And I found a few videos. He's kicking a woman out for causing a ruckus at a Republican, I don't know, hearing or something in Idaho. Also, some stuff about sexually explicit books in kids' libraries at school. You know, I'm with him with that. But I found some weird things too. For one, this guy has a Wikipedia page for some odd reason. Ryan, do you have a Wikipedia page?
I do not.
Does Sheriff Guy have a Wikipedia page, you think?
Not that I know of.
Okay, this guy's a Wikipedia page. So, of course, I go on the Wikipedia page, and I find some weird things. For one, Sheriff Robert Brian Norris of, well, I don't even know how to speak, Kootenai County, Idaho. Well, audience, he just so happens to have been trained by Mossad. That's strange. Why would a sheriff be trained by Mossad? So, didn't Iran just say Israel was going to try a false flag on U.S. soil? I'm not saying that's what happened. I'm just stating facts. They did. But things get more interesting. Before becoming sheriff in Idaho, the sheriff, Brian Norris, worked for the Los Angeles Sheriff's Department. Literally not that long ago. While there, he even held it's called a TSSCI clearance, security clearance. And he was responsible for managing personnel and resources for state, local, and federal agencies. Audience, guess which federal agencies he's managed resources for? Ryan, I'll give you one guess. Two guesses, actually.
I don't know. This is interesting.
The FBI and the CIA.
What?
Now, that doesn't mean anything. But what this is doing to me, it's giving me the Vegas shooting in Maui vibes. Remember that sheriff
yes,
went from the Las Vegas shooting to Maui? That was strange. Now here we have. He wasn't the sheriff, I don't think, in Los Angeles, obviously, but he worked for the Los Angeles Sheriff's Department. And then a year or two ago, I think, goes to Idaho and then becomes sheriff there. So it's just giving me the Vegas Maui vibes. I don't know. So what's the real story here? A 20-year-old kid was found dead on a mountain with a gun next to him. And I guess that's all we really know for sure. I don't, just like the hotel room in Vegas. Maybe the guy was up there shooting a couple thousand rounds. Maybe his body was just dumped up there. I don't know. In a weapon placed next to it in 2000, whatever it was, 17. But let's dive a little deeper. What happened in the same location 20 years ago? Found this article. It's an article about a burned down Aryan Brotherhood headquarters. I didn't even know the Aryan Brotherhood had headquarters, let alone I know. But what if I told you that firefighters supposedly burned down the Aryan Brotherhood headquarters in the same location as this fire in the sniper shots? So I think it was June, whatever it was, 29th, 2021, 24 years ago. Firefighters burned down the Aryan Brotherhood headquarters. And then yesterday, on the anniversary of that, a sniper opens fire on firefighters after luring them by setting a fire. That's a weird coincidence. At least, I mean, write something there. So there's that. Well, 24 years ago was also 9/11. So after 9/11, the sheriff, Robert Norris, he was selected to lead a team at the newly established Joint Regional Intelligence Center, the JRIC, to assist the United States during the War on Terror. And he held a security clearance for sensitive, compartmented information. That's just strange. Another thing, strange doesn't mean anything, but it's notable. After leaving the Joint Regional Intelligence Center, Norris trained in Israel with Mossad and Shin Bet. I don't know what Shin Bet is. Upon his return, he was promoted to lieutenant at the L.A. Sheriff's Department by Los Angeles Sheriff Lee Baca. And I believe Lee Baca ended up being a convicted felon for something. I don't know what he was. He got arrested for something, and he's a convicted felon. Now, again, none of this proves anything, but I'm just asking, why do American sheriffs need to be trained by Israel, especially for the War on Terror? I don't know. But back to the shooter. The dude doesn't look white, okay? Which is weird because there's that Aryan Brotherhood headquarters that got burned down. Maybe that was an angle they were going to go with. I don't know. False flags do happen. It's not lie. Was this a false flag? Was it a false flag that fell? Was it just a random 20-year-old kid, again, in this country, that decided to shoot up a bunch of firefighters after starting a fire to lure them in closer as if it was the sniper from Saving Private Ryan? I mean, what is this? Or was it Saving Private Ryan? Or I think it was also Full Metal Jacket. Two movies, both. So again, was this dude trained in war at 20 years old? Maybe it's not that crazy. A lot of the people coming over from the border have been military-age men. Not saying this dude was illegal, but I don't know. So back to the shooter. Again, doesn't look white. Here is his record, though, the last few months. He has a prior arrest for assault in 2024. This incident involved him allegedly attacking a woman with a knife. Well, at least it wasn't a gun, with a knife, for which he was charged with felony assault with a deadly weapon. He pleaded guilty to a reduced charge of misdemeanor assault, received a sentence of 180 days in jail with a 150-day suspended sentence. But he was also ordered to, I'm laughing because this is just so insane. He was also ordered to undergo a mental health evaluation and complete anger management classes. What the hell is this? He brought a knife against a woman's neck. Do we not care about women in this country anymore? I mean, unlike an illegal alien who had been let off right away, he only served 180 days in jail, but it was basically essentially 30 days in jail for holding a knife against someone's neck who was a woman. And then all you got to do is just go a mental health evaluation. Is anyone buying this lone wolf story? Or should we just say, oh, it was another lone wolf? Or are we just going to ignore these obvious insane connections? I don't know. This is, you got to admit, Ryan, this is strange. And these stories happen.
It's odd. Absolutely.
Every few months. Like we had that terror attack and domestic terrorism on New Year's Day, which the hell happened with that guy in the Tesla that blew his brains out with a 50 caliber handgun.
It's definitely a different world, Joe. I mean, even, when we grew up in the 90s and the early 2000s, the world didn't look anything like this. If we had one crazy incident, it was the big story for the decade. Now it's
Oklahoma City,
right?
That was a story for like that whole. There was three events. There was Waco, and then there was the Oklahoma City bombing. I think not long, and that took up the news. I want to
Yeah.
say for like an entire year of being in school. I remember that being
Absolutely.
that and like OJ.
And OJ was a big
Yes,
one, yeah.
the entire year narrative.
Yeah.
Do you realize how many narratives we've burned through already in 2025? And then 2024, we have presidents get assassinated nearly. This is too much. This is too much to report on.
Whatever's happening, something
They
is
need
happening.
to slow the news
Yeah.
cycle down so we can focus on a story, figure out what the hell happened, and move on. But I don't even know. We're gonna, maybe we'll continue on with this next episode Thursday. But it's the 4th of July. Might be in a good mood. Summer, nice weather. Gonna go out and drink. If we have a caller, just send him over. I want to talk about the big beautiful bill
My man,
for
how
a
you
little
doing,
bit.
Dawn?
But whoever we have,
All right, let me put you through.
who we got?
We got Dawn.
Dawn, welcome back.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. Not as good as that 20-year-old that climbed that mountain and started luring in firefighters right now, but
You know, I helped a buddy of mine. We were doing some yard work this morning, so I was sleeping, and that's how I woke up. I heard you say at one point in time, is anyone buying this? I don't know about you. I'm not buying anything they're selling.
it's I'm not buying it, but it's weird because they trot out this sheriff. They tell him, hey, take a shot at this kid, any citizen, which we're never allowed to do that. Guns are the devil. And now the sheriff has all these ties to Israel, and there's anything wrong with that. I'm just saying there's more to this story from the fact that sheriff was trained in Israel to the fact how many 20-year-old kids do you know capable of doing this? Are you capable of doing this, Dawn? I don't think I could pull it off.
You know what? Most 20-year-old kids, their mama hasn't pushed them out of the house yet to take that job their uncle got them at McDonald's. I don't know how many of these sleeper cells belong to us.
That's a very good question. You got to wonder. I mean, remember Uvalde?
I mean,
Where do these kids get
Yeah,
$20,000 to buy these? I can't afford these guns or this ammunition. Can you? It's expensive. It's like 75 cents a trigger pull nowadays.
see, that's the thing. The money solves everything, doesn't it?
Yeah, I just don't know where they're getting it. These are kids.
You know what? The day after that Vegas shooting, I said something to a friend of mine, and he shook his head. All he said was, and I haven't seen him in a long time, and he doesn't get political. He said, I am not buying this one. And I thought about it. How do you think I could get a hotel room and taking one of those, I'll steal a dolly from one of the dairy trucks, the delivery trucks. Do you think I could walk up and down those steps with ammunition without the police being called?
No, you wouldn't have the energy. You wouldn't have the energy to make that
No.
many trips. And listen, here's what probably happened. That guy was probably framed. They probably had. You ever see the show like Breaking Bad? How they have the weapons dealers in Breaking Bad?
No, I have not. But I get the premise. I've seen trailers. Go ahead.
So they probably had someone. This guy actually owned the weapons, and they said, "Hey, I want to buy weapons off you, Stephen Paddock. How about we meet in Vegas, and then we'll take a drive out to the desert. We'll shoot the guns, fire the guns." Well, Stephen Paddock's waiting in the hotel room. All of a sudden, he gets killed, and all of his guns are there. Do you realize how many shots were fired from that hotel room? You would have been able to swim like what was the like DuckTales when he jumps in the pool of the coins, and how many shells would have been up there? 'Cause it was like 1,000 some rounds, wasn't it? It was over. These shootings are strange.
Well, how about this? You know, I realize we're up against something that we're going to have to. This is ongoing. Okay, let me see here. I remember when I was pretty old, actually, my mother telling her beloved sister, she goes, everybody says these things about Dawn. Most of what I say, I'm joking. When I make fun of Bill Belichick for his young girlfriend, I'm just joking. But let's be honest, I was a little bit of a class clown even as a kid. Do you think that our deep state, who will operate whether Trump's in office or not against him, and he doesn't have time to deal with this, he can't. Have you ever heard about the movie Harvey the Rabbit with James Stewart?
I actually think yeah.
There's a 6-foot-tall rabbit walking around town, and Jimmy Stewart's the only person that can see it. I've never seen the movie. A friend of mine told me about it when I was in school. And he's telling people there's a rabbit walking around town, and they're going to put him, understandably, in the nut house. Okay, I was a bit of a character as a kid. I shouldn't have to convince you of that. Do you think that they could do some heinous crime, after they kill me, of course, and put me somewhere in a van and the next day hit the news media and MSNBC and CNN, and there'd be people that grew up with me going, I heard he was a revolutionary. Why are the American people believing anything they say now?
I don't know. It's like a movie. It's all scripted. Everything you see on CNN, you got to wonder. It sounds crazy, but you got to wonder if I don't want to say they're paid actors, but these people that they trot on to talk about what happened. Sometimes, I mean, it's almost like they're trying to spread their own narratives or guide us in a certain direction to think a certain way.
If you were streetwise at all at 14 and your mom let you walk around in Beaver Falls, you'd know better than to believe most of the yak that they peddle, right?
Yeah.
Now, we know one thing for sure, and they won't admit this, and they get angry. Joe Biden was not running the country, was he?
Oh, well, in our third segment, we have a nice little clip on that. There's a pharmacist that he looks at so many handwritings for his entire career, doctors' handwritings, and he's seen doctors age as they do their handwriting. And he said he cannot explain. He said, number one of those is Jill Biden's. I could tell by the way she makes her be. So This is breaking wide open. The question is, what happens whenever it does? Do we need like a source of authority to come out? Like if CNN came out and said, Joe Biden and the Audit Pen scandal is real, we have a constitutional crisis. I think everyone would believe CNN for some reason, all the liberals. I don't know what would happen. It's like 1980.
This is something I don't understand. If I tell them 2 + 2 is 4, they call me a conspiracy theorist. What is the percentage of people drinking the Kool-Aid has to be 40% now, right?
It's getting less and less, I feel like, every day. I feel like some people are waking up and be like, how is this possible?
Oh, hold on a second. Do they film The View in New York City?
It's either New York or L.A.
Well, I hope it's New York. Is there any chance if that guy wins the mayoral office in New York City, he might behead the women on The View? Because he is going to be beheading people, isn't he?
Not until after he gets elected, but yes, that's the plan. You pretend like you're something you're not while you campaign, and then when you get in there. But it's weird because I've never seen a Muslim that's pro-Sharia law march in the Pride Parade like he did yesterday. It's.
I didn't see what he did yesterday. What did he do yesterday?
He was with Tish James marching hand in hand in the Pride parades. This is a guy that's calling for Sharia law and radical Islam. I'm confused. I don't know if he's gonna
bring it on, because I'm going to tell you the truth. If it's between converting and getting my head cut off, I'm probably going to convert. What they don't realize is they're going to give good old boys like me a chance to grow a beard and convert and read a different Bible. These liberals are all going to be beheaded, aren't they?
Yeah. Well, we went from being converted to the trans agenda and that agenda to now Muslim. We're back to 2001.
Yeah, it's all a smokescreen. It's a quarterback rolling around and trying to deceive the defense. And we got one guy fighting for us. A real estate developer from New York.
Former McDonald's employee.
Day,
he's a former McDonald's employee. What are you talking about?
Oh, this guy was hilarious. He had a nice football team with the New Jersey Generals.
He did. He knew how to pick them then.
Hey, take care.
You too. All right, we got to take a break. When we come back, we're going to talk about the big, beautiful bill, who's for it, who's against it, and why Chuck Schumer wanted all 900 pages read on the Senate floor. Stay tuned. Listen to Thinking Logically on 99.3 FM, WBVP.
As far back as I could remember, I always knew everyone
It's
in our
Joe again
government
from
was
Thinking
against.
Logically, here to tell you about one of my favorite clothing items, the MyPillow hoodie. Two things I love the most about this hoodie are how it fits and how it feels. This hoodie is extremely roomy, and its terry cloth material makes it lighter than any other hoodie I own. Use promo code LOGIC to maximize your savings. The MyPillow hoodie. Get yours today. It's Joe Corsi here from Thinking Logically to tell you about Beaver County's #1 realtor, Mark Galla with RE/MAX Select Realty. With over 10 years experience, Mark knows all the ins and outs of the real estate business, so whether you're looking to rent, buy, sell, or swap your house, you can rely on Mark to take the hassle out. Mark Galla of RE/MAX Select Realty, going above and beyond.
Have you ever wanted to work in radio? Well, now is your chance. St. Barnabas Broadcasting is a network of 11 radio stations, and we are looking for account executives to introduce St. Barnabas Broadcasting and digital media to new prospective clients and grow existing ones. Experience in sales is preferred. Interested prospective candidates can apply by sending their resume to fsparks@beavercountyradio.com or by calling 724-444-JOBS.
Are you looking to invest in yourself, your child, or family members? At Clark Martial Arts, you can invest in boosting confidence, getting strong, and gaining skills you can use for life. Clark Martial Arts is located at 603 Darlington Road next to Patterson Elementary School. Clark Martial Arts offers single and family memberships, which include Taekwondo, Kung Fu, and Tai Chi. Also available are specialty classes featuring Jiu-Jitsu and Krav Maga. Additional yoga and fitness classes available. Clark Martial Arts at 603 Darlington Road in Patterson Township. Stop in today.
The views and opinions expressed on WBVP and WMBA are those of the participants and host. They are not necessarily the viewpoint of WBVP and WMBA, its staff, management, and advertisers. Thank you for listening to WBVP and WMBA.
Welcome back to Thinking Logically here on 99.3 FM WBVP, brought to you by His Place. Well, Ryan, I was there over the Beaver County Boom. I checked it out. It's more like his palace, not his palace, or not his place. So His Place, where community, wellness, and purpose come together. Built in 1907 and formerly a church, His Place is now a beautifully restored veteran-led venue. His Place is more than a building. It's a movement for healing, hope, and health. So are you looking for the ideal place to host your next event? His Place has it. And His Place is at 908 Market Street in Bridgewater, and they have everything you need for hosting corporate events, weddings, showers, birthdays. So call them today, 878-201-3098. That's 878-201-3098, and book your date today. That's His Place, 908 Market Street, Bridgewater. And the interior, Ryan, I think it actually might be 3 levels, but the main level, you could probably fit about 120, 160, maybe even 180 people there in the main level. The tables, the wood, everything. There's like a bar section. It would be perfect. It would be perfect for a wedding because that bar area is so big and it's open table and everything. And then the downstairs, if you want just something for the downstairs, they got a bar. They got pool tables. They got, I don't know if they have foosball. They have air hockey. They got one of them basketball shooter things. It's like a little bit like an arcade.
Or just hearing this for the first time, like what would you describe this place as? I mean,
a Swiss Army knife.
Okay.
For like a venue.
Okay.
Like you can honestly, I could definitely have like my kid's birthday in the basement and it'd be fun and bring stuff like that. I mean,
sounds amazing.
It's a very nice place in the parking lot for being Bridgewater. Huge.
Okay.
So, yeah, that's His Place again. 908. 908 Market Street in Bridgewater. Got a frog in my throat. All right. Now let's move on. I want to cover the big, beautiful bill here for a second. So it's up for voting. It took forever to get to the voting because Chuck Schumer wanted all 900 pages to be read out loud in front of the Senate. And I said, why, Chuck? Why this time? Why not every time, number one? But why this time? These people, they never read the bills. But now all of a sudden, Chucky Schumer wants to, maybe. So a clerk, I guess, started to read it late last night. After 16 hours, they finally finished reading the one big, beautiful bill. But guess what? Surprise! Chuck Schumer wasn't there for the end of it. Despite demanding, remember, the entire thing be read out loud in front of the Senate, he still went home, probably to cry himself to sleep. I do kind of like that process, though, where they read out the entire bill before they vote. That should be the new standard. Every bill read out, and only those that attend the whole reading and nothing less are allowed to vote on it. Fetterman had this to say, I just want to go home. I've missed our entire trip to the beach. I'm going to vote no. There's no drama. I don't think it's really helpful to put people here till some ungodly hour. He's going into 2023, Fetterman, again. He's just exhausted. He just wants to go home. Bernie Sanders claimed the big, beautiful bill is taking food out of the mouths of hungry kids. No, Bernie, we just want to stop the SNAP fraud that's been going on in this country for Lord knows how long. And I got to say, the big, beautiful bill, it's like, why do they always BBB? Build Back Better, big, beautiful bill. Weird.
Yeah, really.
Also, Republican Senator Tom Tillis of North Carolina, he's announced he's not running for re-election. Well, he can't run for re-election. He won't make it out of the primary. He voted against the big, beautiful bill. That's what happened. So he knows he's done. And just trust Trump with this big, beautiful bill. Just like you didn't trust him with the egg prices and the tariffs. They're all working. Look at egg prices now. Look at tariffs. Ryan, before we transition to a different, just play the audio from CNBC, of all places, about how tariffs are going in this country.
Look how much we've been collecting in revenues. And I did this in part because Wilfred's here and he can talk about the UK trade deal. But just, this is the monthly numbers. And they have gone up a lot. June is actually set for another big increase of $27 billion. That is money coming into U.S. coffers from tariffs. We are collecting a lot of revenue. So far, guys, $121 billion has flowed into the U.S. government since the start of the fiscal year. It's still a tiny portion of the overall revenues that the U.S. government gets, but it's increasingly a lot, especially we haven't seen it in terms of the...
We were told by numerous experts on television this would never happen, that Trump was completely wrong on tariffs. And look, it's coming from CNBC. Amazing. All right, speaking of Congress, though, last week, Congress passed another bill. This is a bill to, ready for this one, brace for impact, because I might just grab this microphone and just start whipping around. What was that manager in baseball that took the phone and just started throwing it at the reporters? That's what I want to do right now. So last week, Congress passed a bill to deport illegal aliens who get caught drunk driving. Why do we need a law that says we can deport illegal aliens caught drunk driving? They're here illegally. They already broke the law. They already broke federal law. It should be an auto deportation, like the auto pen, auto deportation. You should be sobering up on the flight back to your country of origin, should you not be?
Absolutely. I mean, if you or I or anybody would commit any kind of federal crime on any level, it would not be good for these people for whatever reason. This isn't a problem. I don't understand, Joe.
Members of the U.S. House of Representatives get paid like $200,000 a year. And what do they do with their time while they're in session? Pass laws that say, hey, if you're an illegal that came to this country illegally and you're a criminal and you get caught drunk driving, then you're definitely getting deported. What the hell? How about just if you're here illegally, you get deported, period? What happened to that? Why do we need this law? It doesn't make any sense. It's like when they want to do, we should have background checks. Do a background check twice on a handgun. Give me a break. The worst part is 160 Democrats voted against this.
Wow.
Terrible. All right, moving on. Where are we at here? What else we saw last week with the courts and everything? The Supreme Court ended the district court's assault on Trump's nationwide injunctions. Remember, Trump couldn't decide who was a citizen, who could be deported. Now, this is big. It's a big victory for Trump, and he even came out on Friday, I believe, and took a lot of victory laps while in front of the podium talking about this. So it was a 6-3 ruling. The majority found that the lower courts exceeded their authority by issuing a nationwide block on Trump's birthright citizen restrictions. And remember, audience, birthright citizenship has nothing to do with crossing the border while you're pregnant and giving birth in the United States if you're a Mexican, Palestinian, whoever you are. This had to do with slavery back like 100 and some years ago in the black population during the Civil War. Remember, Democrats? Remember this one? But what caught all the attention on social media about this is what Justice Amy Coney Barrett wrote about Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson. So Justice Barrett wrote the following in her opinion. We will not dwell on Justice Jackson's argument, which is at odds with more than 2 centuries worth of precedent, not to mention the Constitution itself. We observe only this, she continued on. Justice Jackson decries an imperial executive while embracing an imperial judiciary. No one disputes that the executive has a duty to follow the law, but the judiciary does not have unbridled authority to enforce this obligation. In fact, sometimes the law prohibits the judiciary from doing so. Observing the limits on the judiciary authority, including as relevant here, the boundaries of the Judiciary Act of 1789 is required by a judge's oath to follow the law. Justice Jackson skips over that part. Wow. And notice Amy Coney Barrett dropped the Judiciary Act of 1789. That's like one of the oldest acts in the nation's history. You got to wonder, is Justice Jackson Brown, is she a DEI hire? I think so. It seems like Amy Coney Barrett is basically implying that Justice Jackson is too dumb to understand federal law or legalese, whatever you want to call it. And remember, she was nominated by Joe Biden. Or, I guess you should say his auto pen. Remember, who signed off on that? Who signed off on that? We'll get to the auto pen a little bit later. But first, the Boston Globe. We're just going to pound through these immigration stories and stuff like that. So from the Boston Globe, the Trump administration said it will terminate legal protection for Haitian migrants, setting them up for potential deportation in September, including thousands in Massachusetts. Ryan, remember in 2018 when every celebrity in the country uploaded pictures to social media telling us how great Haiti was? Remember Trump called them an S-hole country?
Yeah.
And then Conan O'Brien, Bill Maher, everyone, I think Don, I don't know who else. Haiti is great. Haiti is great.
Yeah, right.
Why? Why can't we send the Haitians back to Haiti if it's so great? Remember we covered this story in 2024 leading up to the election. 11-year-old Aiden Clark. You may remember him, probably not the name. We covered this. He was killed on his way to school last year. He was killed by Hermanio Joseph, an illegal from Haiti who arrived here in 2023 and was released back into the country by DHS during Biden's administration. So again, what's wrong with deporting Haitians here on temporary status or here illegally? You ever wonder why you're familiar with Haiti, the island of Haiti? You know they share an island, right? With the Dominican.
I'm not real familiar with Haiti.
So a lot of baseball players come from the Dominican Republic.
For sure.
Not so many from Haiti, I guess. Huh. It's the same island. It's got a giant mountain range, I guess in the middle. But do you ever wonder why the Dominican Republic has this giant border wall too that goes across their border with Haiti, running like north to south? And the Dominican Republic does not even allow Haitians to come into their country freely and go freely. And again, they share an island. What's that tell you? Maybe, not to be rude, maybe Haitians aren't the best. Maybe shouldn't be bringing them here willy-nilly. That's all I'm saying. All right, so also, because we got to take a break.
Why doesn't common sense apply to politics, Joe? Things like what you just said makes
because money, common sense would apply only if it benefited them financially. Yeah. That's why it's all about money and power. That's all it's about. And they try to fool you into thinking that your logic is wrong and flawed. And you're actually just a racist. You're actually just a racist, or there's something wrong with you physically or mentally. So this is going to be good for future elections. The White House is currently working on ways to exclude illegal aliens from the U.S. sentence. And Stephen Miller came out and said this. I think it was today or yesterday. Do you realize what that'll do to the Electoral College count? Cali, New York City, New York, all the blue states. They're going to lose not just one, several House seats. That's amazing. That puts them in more jeopardy for 2028 because they got to move to a red state. They got to move somewhere. We don't have time to cover alligator Alcatraz. Did you hear that? That is hilarious.
I did hear about that. That's wild.
We got to take a break, though. When we come back, what are we going to talk about? Oh, the auto pen and Joe Biden. Story from the Gateway Pundit. Stay tuned. Listen to Thinking Logically here on 99.3 FM, WBVP. It's Joe Corsi here from Thinking Logically to tell you about Beaver County's #1 realtor, Mark Gullah with RE/MAX Select Realty. With over 10 years experience, Mark knows all the ins and outs of the real estate business, so whether you're looking to rent, buy, sell, or swap your house, you can rely on Mark to take the hassle out. Mark Gullah of RE/MAX Select Realty, going above and beyond. It's Joe again from Thinking Logically, here to tell you about one of my favorite clothing items, the MyPillow hoodie. Two things I love the most about this hoodie are how it fits and how it feels. This hoodie is extremely roomy, and its terry cloth material makes it lighter than any other hoodie I own. Use promo code LOGIC to maximize your savings. The MyPillow hoodie. Get yours today.
Growth starts with community, and Clearview Federal Credit Union is thrilled to continue growing with you. We're now proud to serve Beaver County with 5 convenient financial centers throughout the area. Clearview is here to help you build a stronger financial future with personalized solutions and a passion for supporting our communities every step of the way. Learn more about how you can support your goals at clearviewfcu.org/new-view. Clearview, clearly different.
Tune in to Beaver County Radio 99.3 FM and 1230 WBVP every Monday and Thursday from 5 to 6 p.m. for Thinking Logically with Joe Corsi. It is an all-new show that takes a look at the conservative side of politics. Thinking Logically is also presented on the WBVP-WNBA Facebook page and YouTube channel. That's Thinking Logically with Joe Corsi each and every Monday and Thursday from 5 to 6 p.m. right here on Beaver County Radio.
The views and opinions expressed on WBVP and WMBA are those of the participants and host. They are not necessarily the viewpoint of WBVP and WMBA, its staff, management, and advertisers. Thank you for listening to WBVP and WMBA.
Welcome back to Thinking Logically here on 99.3 FM, brought to you by So Fresh, So Clean Pressure Washing. Whether you need your house washed, driveway clean, patio done, fences, gutters, you name it, call Dave from So Fresh, So Clean Pressure Washing at 724-252-4489. That's 724-252-4489. They're fully insured, and they offer free estimates. So what are you waiting for? Don't be the outcast in your neighborhood with a dirty Decker house. Call Dave from So Fresh, So Clean Pressure Washing today. All right, let's get into this AutoPen scandal. This is from the Gateway Pundit. Just get ready, audience. Headline: Constitutional crisis. Researchers suggest Biden's AutoPen signatures may not be his. They're likely Jill's, meaning all AutoPen signed documents are forgeries. So they go on to say in the article, on February 20th, 2021, a Missouri pharmacist reached out to the Gateway Pundit and shared his observations on Biden's signature to date, which is weird because this is literally like a month after Joe Biden entered office. The same pharmacist shared some more information regarding Biden's signature this past week, which is shocking. And again, I'm going to read some from the Gateway Pundit article. As background, I have watched doctor signatures digress as they age for many years. In a small town, I could recognize the signatures of doctors and also individual nurses working on behalf of the doctors. I could tell who specifically signed the prescription, be it the doctor or a specific nurse. It's not uncommon for signatures to change, but usually it's just a matter of getting a little shaky as people age. However, the signatures don't change as a wholesome manner that then revert back at some point, even with dementia, as Biden's purportedly did. And then he goes on, I think Jill Biden signed at least one or more of the signatures for the AutoPen. You could look up the article from 2021 and see her signature along with Joe's. It appears she stepped in for Joe for some reason and signed for the AutoPen. Maybe his signature was shaky. I don't know, but the AutoPen signatures are not his. Concentrate on the B in Biden. Joe draws a little line, then makes more or less of a 3 for the rest of the B. Jill starts at the bottom, then goes up and makes a small loop at the top and a larger loop below for her B. That B is what is on the AutoPen signatures. Even the straight line for the J in Joe is different from Joe's established signature as opposed to the AutoPen signature. You will look if you see it, he says. So what does this mean if the pharmacist is correct? We talked about Supreme Court Justice Jackson. Does she get removed? Does every executive order Biden signed get axed? Does every pardon? Like the article says, I think we really may be facing a constitutional crisis over this AutoPen. So, all right. Speaking of a dude who wasn't president for 4 years to a dude who shouldn't be mayor of New York City for the next 4 years. This is from Libs of Dick Talk. Democrat nominee for New York City mayor and New York Attorney General marched in the Pride Parade. So Mandani also says he wants to spend $65 million of taxpayer dollars on trans treatments, including ones for kids. Wow. You know what? I'd like to see him try to spend $65 million of American money on trans treatments for kids. Because our Supreme Court, the highest court in the land, they just put an end to that. And I'm sure this dude knows it. Again, when did I miss Islam going woke, by the way? This dude might just be totally confused. A Muslim that's pro-gay and pro-trans. New York City has a lot of issues. Subway crime, homelessness, crumbling infrastructure, illegals. But this dude wants to spend $65 million on bottom surgeries for teenagers. That is wild. Also, a video of Zohran Mandani talking about Palestine is going viral. Did you see this video of him while he's eating?
I have not.
It's not going viral because of what he's saying in the video, but it could, I guess. It's because of how he's eating, what he's doing. He's eating, and he's eating, like, you gotta watch this video, like, with his hands like a savage. And are you not supposed to use utensils when you eat Indian food? Is that like the standard? Maybe I'm missing. I don't know. Like with Chinese, use chopsticks. I don't know. But it's like rice and stuff. I mean, I'm watching this video now. Audience, look at it. My Lord. This dude looks disgusting the way he eats. And just like an absolute slob, stuff spilling everywhere. And it's not just this video. Remember, he put out a picture of himself while campaigning, eating a burrito on the New York City subway. And to some, that's not a big deal. I get it. but he was using the subway seat as a table. Number one, that's just inconsiderate for others. Number two, you need to eat on your commute. Are you that fat and disgusting? Try intermittent fasting. I don't know. But it's so gross because it's the New York City subway. People poop and pee there. And then there's the future mayor of New York City spilling beans and rice all over the seats as he cuts into his lunch. We thought de Blasio was bad with what he did, going to the gym every day and eating Shake Shack on camera and chumping into the microphone. This dude's way worse. Way worse. It's going to be way worse, I think.
But before you do get too far along, Joe, one thing that I do remember learning, and I really started paying attention to politics back in 2000, 2001, and one thing that I recall when they were talking about these quote-unquote 19 hijackers, whatever happened, was that people that are in Islam, that are trying to spread Islam, they can go outside of what their beliefs are to deceive, to enhance their agenda. And I remember that being said because those 19 guys, people said, they were here, they were in strip bars, they were out spending money, they were out drinking, having a good time while they were here training in the airplanes. And people said, well, these people aren't allowed to do those things. And I remember that being something that was talked about over and over, is that Muslims, when they do try to spread Sharia law and things like of this nature, they are allowed to lie and be dishonest.
That's an interesting take. So fake assimilate, and then when the time is right, come out of the woodwork, so
because
to say.
People were saying, how did these guys, how did they do it? They came here, they trained on our airplanes, they trained in our, and in the meantime, like I said, they were disrespectful to strippers. I know you remember all those stories.
Yeah.
And people often said, why? How are these Muslims? They're so devout. Why are they doing these things? And it came back to they could do whatever they need to do.
And I get it. Like, okay, so it's funny we'll use Judaism. Take Larry David. There's some secular Jews. There's Jews that are very, stick to everything.
Absolutely.
And there's Larry David. Larry David is the type of Jew that doesn't wear the whatever it's called.
Right.
He's not like that. Now, we could say, well, maybe these people weren't like that. That's why they're going to but they literally killed themselves for the religion.
Right.
It doesn't get any more extreme than that.
Yeah.
I mean, it literally does not.
And I don't know if you also remember this being said, was when they were vowing to take us out back in the early 2000s, they said America will be impossible to beat military wise, so we're going to have to infiltrate and try to get him, kill him from within. And again, is this what's going on, Joe?
And I'm confused. Maybe Osama bin Laden, if he even did 9/11,
right?
Anyway, let's not get ahead of the skis there. Osama bin Laden. I'm sorry. Osama bin Laden. I can't even remember what point I was going to get at now. What I was going to say about Osama bin Laden. I don't know. I lost my train of thought whenever I said maybe Osama bin Laden didn't even do 9/11. But anyway, let's. Osama bin Laden.
Yes.
Maybe he didn't like capitalism, but this guy's a social. When did communism become like the Muslim things?
Right.
Didn't Muslims fight communism whenever the USSR tried to invade Afghanistan and start communism there? I'm just so confused by this guy. Again, maybe he's on some deep level, like
and
double, triple agent. I don't know.
Look who's in bed with a lot of, Islam and communism over on that side of the planet, Joe, with China. And I mean, they all have this.
Maybe he could be I never even thought about that. Maybe he could be a plant from China. Hey, I've seen crazier.
But they all seem to get along. And like you just said, I mean, you'd think that there would be friction between the two ideologies, but they seem to get along really well on that side of the planet.
Yeah. What are you going to do? All right, one more thing before we move to a break. Former Congressman Jamal Bowman, we covered him last episode. He had a dumb comment. He's back on MSNBC, again, saying stupid stuff. So just play the audio of him saying socialism is basically not anti-American.
Brown people from different backgrounds, the word socialism is weaponized as some kind of, anti-American thing. And, Senator Gillibrand and others seem to have fallen victim to that level of ignorance and miseducation.
I know there's no specific law that says we have to be a capitalist country, but I'm pretty sure socialism is a little bit anti-American, just a tad of the
little,
just a little bit, but he's saying socialism anyway, but he means communism, so it doesn't even matter. All right, we got to take a break. When we come back, how about we're not talking about the basketball Carmelo Anthony, the track meet Carmelo Anthony. Stay tuned, listen to Think Logically on 99.3 FM WBVP.
Tune into Good Talk with Matthew Modani every fourth Friday of the month from 11 a.m. to noon for an exciting dive into real estate. Matthew, a real estate pro, will share valuable lessons and expert tips on navigating the real estate market with professional guests. Stay updated with the latest news and sports in Beaver County and the Pittsburgh area, whether you're a real estate enthusiast or simply enjoy a good story. Good Talk with Matthew Modani is your source of entertaining real estate, local news, and sports. The show will also be live on our Facebook. Don't miss out.
The views and opinions expressed on WBVP and WMBA are those of the participants and host. They are not necessarily the viewpoint of WBVP and WMBA, its staff, management, and advertisers. Thank you for listening to WBVP and WMBA.
Welcome back to Thinking Logically here on 99.3 FM WBVP. Kind of a weird, jam-packed episode. We had a domestic shooting in Idaho. We covered domestic terrorism. We covered in Idaho, the first segment. Then all the big beautiful bill and stuff like that, the second segment, and then this potential mayor coming out of New York City. And there's also the audit pen. I forgot we got into that. Joe Biden might have forgot, but we didn't. Anyway, let's move on to Carmelo Anthony. So Ryan, audience, hopefully you remember the Carmelo Anthony. That was the African American child who stabbed a white child, since everything's about race in this country, or has to be, in the chest during a high school track meet. Why did he have a knife at the track meat? I don't know. Why would anyone bring a knife to a track meet? No idea. But
that was frowned upon when we were in school.
Yeah, very frowned upon. Yeah. I feel like you would get at least 1 day in school suspension.
Absolutely.
Definitely lunch detention for that. So this is new. Carmelo Anthony submitted an indigent packet to the Collin County Court requesting court-appointed legal representation as an indigent. And I guess that means he's financially destitute. And I'm just, that can't be right. Didn't the family make a ton of money off the GoFundMe, Give, Send, Go, whatever it was called? Carmelo Anthony's mother, I looked it up, Kayla Hayes. She manages it's a Give, Send, Me, Go. She stated on April 17th that they had just gained access to the funds. At that time, they had $350K, a little over $350K. The fundraiser now has reached over $538,000. So on June 25th, the Anthony family updated their Give, Send, Go campaign to reflect the need to raise an additional $1.4 million for a legal team. I mean, how much can a retainer on a lawyer cost? We have no way. You asked, what are they using the money for? Right? We have no way of knowing how the funds, how much of the funds, what they're being used on, because the privacy laws. We'll never know. We'll never know. But let's just tie it in a bow. Carmelo Anthony takes a knife to a track meet, sits in a tent he's not allowed or not supposed to be in. Someone asks him to leave. He then stabs that kid in the heart for asking him to leave. Then starts a GoFundMe. Makes over $500,000 off the Give, Send, Go. And then uses that money to, excuse me as I try not to laugh saying this, buy a Cadillac and a brand new house and shoes and Jordans. He's then allowed to graduate. Oh, the irony. I'm gonna bust out laughing. And now he files for indigent status in a murder trial. How did I make it through that without going into a total laughing fit? And it's not funny because a young man was killed. And I don't care about the race at all. How is this able to happen in this country? And again, the only thing I can think of, maybe he just, because he was 17, I think, at the time. Maybe, did he just turn 18 and maybe he's on his own now? And this is a way to, I don't want to say launder money, hide money or do it like that, or say he's broke and he gets a public defender. I don't know. Are they going to try this with a public defender? It fell miserably. See how the defense or the prosecution handles it, and then pay the big money lawyer on appeal? I don't know. But strange how this is all allowed to happen. It's amazing. And you couldn't write this as a movie script.
I mean, it truly is. I mean, people were talking about this obviously as an isolated incident, but you know, if this is the mindset that people have, every time somebody says something that you disagree with, then you have 300 million Americans running around stabbing one another. It's crazy.
And who cares about the race? Honestly,
Absolutely.
I really don't care. It should just, like Martin Luther King said, content of the character. The content of this character sounds like it sucked.
Absolutely.
Okay. Again, last episode of Pride Month. Can't hold anything back. So here's a tweet from the account called The Gay Republican on X. He tweeted this out. Can anyone explain why the Kyle Rittenhouse trial was an all-consuming media event, but the Diddy trial and the Carmelo Anthony trial didn't get any attention, not so much as a peep? Good point. Carmelo Anthony trial, I guess it hasn't gone to trial, so there's that. Got minimal coverage. P. Diddy is a federal trial, so you can't be in the court. But again, it's not getting any attention. That is very strange. Very strange. And speaking of his trial, I guess it went to the jury for deliberation. I think they're officially in deliberation on the Sean the Diddler. So that's good. It could be tomorrow.
Oh wow!
And I don't know, is Diddy gonna go to jail for the rest of his life? It's finally coming to a head here. I mean,
I don't
gonna
know.
get an answer.
Yeah, I haven't followed the case, to be honest with you. I'm going to be
because you can't, because it's impossible to follow, because you got to literally go on social media and follow these accounts that literally have a few thousand people that they spend all day covering this. Media won't.
Yeah.
MSNBC won't send a legal analyst. CNN won't for some reason. I don't know. I'd like to know. Diddy trafficking people, Epstein trafficking people, Elon Musk accusing Trump of being on the Epstein list. Not a peep. That just went. You never heard anything. All right. Speaking of Trump and how everything he does is right, Canada is now rescinding their tax that hits U.S. tech firms trying to eye a Trump trade deal. So I guess they caved to Trump and rescind their digital services tax that they were going to impose on American companies. So again, Trump hit him with the tariffs. Tariffs work. We'll do one more story. Actually, we really cover Iran. Let's cover Iran for a second. So who's this from? Colin Rugg. New. Hundreds of women hold up their babies into the air to show they're willing to offer them up as martyrs in Tehran, according to CNN. CNN Friedrich Pleaton witnessed the ceremony. Wow, it sounds like they're sacrificing their kids to like Baal or Moloch or whatever. Jeez. Martyrdom is hugely important concept here in the Islamic Republic of Iran. We're currently in an event where hundreds of women hold their babies into the air to show that they're willing to offer their children as martyrs. Only because it's coming from CNN. How do we even know that's what they were doing? Maybe they're just doing the Lion King all at once. Only because it's CNN. I'm gonna hit the doubt button on that. And then a Tybo in this episode. I follow this account Clandestine on X, and he makes some good points. What if I told you that there's been an update to that raid that happened on Trump's Mar-a-Lago vacation home in 2022? And the word on the street is that was actually an attempt by the Biden administration. And when I say Biden administration, I mean the auto pen. And when I say the auto pen, I mean it probably could have been Merrick Garland, Obama, it could have been anyone. But that raid we saw at Mar-a-Lago in 2022, that was actually an attempt to get back classified documents that show that Obama, Barack Obama, Hillary Clinton, and others were actually going to allow Iran to get a nuke. And that's interesting. In Clandestine, he posted this on X. He goes on, now I'm really going to blow your mind. Remember when the FBI raided Mar-a-Lago and they posted pictures of some docks? One was dated May 9th, 2018. That is the exact day Trump abandoned Obama's Iran deal. Then Trump confirmed the Biden DOJ were after documents about Iran. Trump shared a truth from Paul Sperry, alleging the Biden DOJ were looking for info about Trump dismantling Obama's Iran nuke deal. And I remember this. I think I actually covered this in one of our episodes like 2 years ago. And he says, Biden weaponized the Department of Justice and the FBI to try to steal the documents, proving that the Obama administration and Biden committed treason. And that's really interesting. We'll have to follow this. But I do remember hearing Trump accusing that it was about that, looking for info about Trump dismantling Obama's Iran nuke deal. And it's amazing how this all comes up. And we're coming on the 3-year anniversary of that in about a month, a little over a month. So interesting times, and interesting times lay ahead. We're getting to the thick of things here. Crazy week. Then we got 4th of July, Independence Day. Anything we want to share, Ryan, before we head out of here?
No, I'm not sure what's happening, but I just did look at my phone and I seen some of the crypto is shooting up a little bit. I'm not sure what's going on, but I am just observing that now. But yeah, Joe, it is. It's a fun week. It's a big week for us here in America. We could celebrate and watch the fireworks, obviously, as we did with the Beaver County boom just here the other night. And I'm very excited, man. We're gonna. It's what summertime's about here in America. So everyone try to enjoy themselves.
Well, enjoy yourself, because again, we don't know what could happen the week after. We've been hearing rumors. Anything can happen. We just saw whatever it was, another weird domestic terrorist attack with another 20-year-old bookworm shooting up a bunch, luring them in and then shooting them. Strange times we live in, but we'll be here to report on these strange times that we do live in on this show, Thinking Logically, that is here on Beaver County Radio, WBVP, every Monday and Thursday, 3 to 4 p.m. And until then, I will see you Thursday for another episode of Thinking Logically. Until then, I'm Joe Corsi signing off from Thinking Logically. What am I even talking about? I'm losing it here. 99.3 WBVP. See you guys Thursday.